Samuel Leeds here, and I'm with my good friend Marcus de Maria.
Absolutely pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
It's so good to have you here. We meet up quite regularly, and the cool thing about you, Marcus, is you're a trainer like me, and you're also in property.
Yes.
But you're killing it right now with cryptocurrencies.
Cryptocurrencies, absolutely.
And have been doing for ages.
Yeah.
Like when people were talking about Bitcoin and stuff, you'd been doing it for ages.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just pick your brain a bit and ask you some questions about it.
Cool.
Because it's something that I get asked about from time to time, and I don't know that much about. I know since going on your webinar and talking to you, I have invested and have done stuff in Bitcoin. But why don't you start? Just tell us a little bit about background on who you are.
Okay, so obviously, again, we just talked about this actually, about people calling me certain things, but Marcus de Maria. And I've been trading for the last 17 years, and mainly stocks and shares, and become very good at it over the years. And that is what stopped me from going into Bitcoin earlier. Because it was, whenever anybody came up to me and kind of said, so Marcus, should we get into this digital? No, do not, it's way too dangerous. And I think it was about the sixth person when I suddenly said, why am I telling people not to invest in something that I know nothing about? So I went deep down. Back in 2016, I just did a real deep dive, research, so much so that I wrote a book about it at the end of it, but really deep down to what it is. And when I thought, I cannot believe that after 17 years, I should have been one of the first people to get in. Back when it was, 2 years ago, it was at 1,000. 2 years before that, it was at 100.
You're talking about Bitcoin right now,
Bitcoin, right?
Because I said you've been doing this for years, because you also, I think when I first met you were making really good money in the stock market.
Yes.
But now you're on Bitcoin.
Well, I still do the stock market.
Yeah.
Doing my value cost averaging strategy.
So it was 2016, was it, when you really studied Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies?
Yes.
And then what happened?
Yeah, and so then I started getting into it, and just first of all, after I stopped lashing myself that I hadn't gotten in, was like, how you do, you get in with a little bit of 5,000, then another 5,000, and you start building it up. And by the end of the year, I'd accumulated, 2017, 800,000.
Of your own money you'd put in, you mean?
Yeah.
So you put your own personal money as 800,000?
So I grew it up. So I put in maybe, in the end, I think it was 140,000.
Okay, cool.
And went up to 800,000. Yeah,
okay.
It went up that fast. And
is it not like gambling though a little bit? Is it not like when you buy property, the property's never going to disappear. Worst case, it might drop in price a little bit, or you might get a bad tenant, but you can always sell it. Do you not think that teaching people and advising people or encouraging people to invest into something that could potentially just disappear overnight, do you not think that's a bit risky? Because I know you're a very well respected, person, trainer, businessman. What do you say about that?
No, honestly, I'd agree with you. I think that, I don't know whether you expected me to say that, but it is riskier. There's no doubt about it. It is riskier. And, we have our property portfolio, we have our stocks and shares portfolio, and then, as I always say, 5 to 10% of your investments have got to go into something which has what I call asymmetrical risk. In other words, you're risking that 5 to 10%, but you could be making, and I'm not kidding here, I'm not kidding, you could be making 1,000, 5,000, even 10,000%. One of my positions went up 14,000%. I have never, ever seen anything like that in the stock market in my 17 years.
That's what you said on your webinar, which is fantastic, by the way. I mean, if if you're watching and you've not been on Marcus's crypto webinar, it will blow your mind, so do it. But on your webinar, when you said about how if you're invested in property or whatever, that can be a very safe investment, but you should have, tell me if I misquoted you, but you said something along the lines of a small percentage of your wealth should be on something that could go crazy well.
That's what I believe.
Yeah,
it's all about asset allocation.
And I think that's good advice. I mean, if you were to put 100% of your net worth into Bitcoin, then maybe that would be
would be don't do it.
But if you put 90% of your wealth or 95% of your wealth into safe investments, property and different things like that, maybe business, and then a small percentage of your wealth into Bitcoin, then you've got everything to gain and very, very little to lose.
I would agree with you, and I'd say actually you have to do that.
Yeah.
Because that asymmetrical risk is so important, and it could be that might make you more money that year than maybe some of the other stuff. And that's the whole point of this kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
having that 5%.
So if someone's watching this right now and they're probably into property because this is a property channel, and they're investing in property, maybe they've got 1 or 2 or 10 houses.
Love property.
What advice would you give to them? Would you say that they need to really go away and do some homework? Would you say they should just set up an account and buy a couple of Bitcoins? What advice would you give to them?
I would never say to anybody, just get into anything without doing some research first. I'll tell you why. I mean, I have lots of reasons, but one of the reasons is the Bitcoin price and all the others, Ethereum, Dash, Lisk, Monero, etc. There's about 1,600 of them, are extremely volatile. And unless you know what you're doing, you're going to panic. And you're going to sell as it comes down. That is not the thing to do. We are near the beginning of a massive bull market, and so therefore, what we need to do is not do what everybody else is doing. And Samuel, they're panicking. They are panicking because the price of Bitcoin went from 1,000 in 1 year went up to 20,000, and of course that's when everybody got in.
Yeah.
Right? They wait. It's just, they wait till it goes up, and they go, no. Okay, now I'm going to get in, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, no.
I think it's Warren Buffett who says
around.
when people are scared, you should be greedy. When people are greedy, you should be scared.
Absolutely.
And it's the same in property. You know, they wait for the market to be really good and everything going great, but then when everything's bottomed out, they're scared when that's exactly when you should be buying.
That's right.
So
and right now, people are being fearful, and that's when you need to be greedy.
Yeah.
And I've added something onto that, you know, not meaning to, you know, usurp the master, but then what do you do when other people are being greedy? That's one thing. But what do you do? Sorry, when other people are being fearful. But what do you do when you are being fearful as well?
Yeah.
You still have to buy.
Yeah.
And that's mindset and psychology, which we talk about a lot.
Something you talked about as well, again on the webinar, and I must say this. It's very easy to go online and to see what every man and his dog is saying about Bitcoin and cryptos and spend, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks researching, reading all these different. But your webinar is just crazy good.
Thank you.
And that's what made me want to pull you on this show.
Right.
Because you just summarize everything up. Recite when you were explaining to me a little bit about why you think Bitcoin's going to go up. What's going on with the...
Man, there's so much going on. People don't even realize this, and even the ones that like heard about it, they're shrugging it off because they don't understand it. Okay, I'll give you one example. I can give you a lot, right? I'll give you the latest, which you might not even have heard, which is that the ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, it owns 23 different exchanges, including the New York Stock Exchange, big business. Just announced that they had been working secretly without telling anybody, together with Microsoft, together with Boston Consulting Group and Starbucks, that they are going to launch a crypto platform in November of this year. Now, what that means is that they are going to allow the masses to start using cryptocurrencies, which means that Starbucks has 50 million customers, and they are going to be looking into accepting via a little card. You could use a Visa card, you can use MasterCard. By the way, MasterCard and Visa are also building up their own blockchain as well. They've already declared that. You can pay using cryptocurrencies as of the end of this year. That is a huge announcement. Yeah. It's going to go mainstream as a result. That's just one.
Yeah, and you that wasn't the one I was referring to actually. You shared loads.
Yeah.
But okay, so tell me a little bit about your students and some of the successes they're having, or some of the interesting things they're doing, because I know you've made many people very wealthy recently.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, people are just basically, and I always say, you know, do your own research, but they want to know, what am I doing? And so what I do on my webinars, you know, I have webinars every 2 weeks, and I basically show them my account. And then I show them the ones that I've been getting into. So the cryptocurrencies that I've been getting into, also the ICOs, the initial coin offerings I've been getting into, and any public companies that are on the stock exchange that are going to benefit from this. So there's lots of ways of making money. You don't just have to buy cryptocurrencies. And they've been getting into some, you know, we've had people making thousands of percents, 2,000%, 3,000%. Some people have set up their own rigs, so they're now actually mining their own Bitcoin as well. It's crazy. There's so many. There's actually 4 different ways of making money. It's not just one, just the buying part. Look, if somebody was starting right now, you know, most people they're getting into Bitcoin, they're getting into Ethereum, which is the second largest. They're getting into Ripple, the third largest. They're getting into Litecoin. They're getting into Dash. They're getting into Monero. They're getting into. By the way, we have to say this is not investment advice. Please do your research beforehand. This is really important. But I think all the ones that I just named are going to do really well. But it's not investment advice. But there's some other ones. Those are the big ones. So I always say to people, put 40% into the big solid ones.
Yeah.
But there's others in the top 20, and then there's others in the top 50 that are going to massively surpass. Not surpass Bitcoin in market capitalization, but surpass in terms of percentage price increase.
Yeah.
And some of my students have been getting into some ICOs and have made ridiculously high amounts of money. Whether they've sold or not, because I tell people, don't sell, we're at the beginning.
They've made the money, but it's
still in their account.
Yeah,
they haven't taken it out.
I mean, and the reason I wanted you on this channel is because, I say it's a property channel. It's actually not. This channel is really a financial freedom channel.
Excellent.
It's a channel how people can use property or other things as a vehicle to become financially free.
Brilliant.
When did you become financially free, and how did you achieve it?
Oh wow, we're going way back now. When did I become financially free? Gosh, maybe approximately not that long ago. Maybe 7 years ago or so.
Yeah. And quite a remarkable story as well.
Yeah, so back at around 99, I was actually sleeping on my brother's floor. I was £100,000 in bad debt. I didn't have any properties, by the way, at that stage. Bad debt, right? Because people say, oh, 100,000, I've got mortgages, much. No, I didn't have any. I didn't even have a car. I did have a sleeping bag, though. And that was a bad time. That was a bad time. And it was probably the lowest, kind of financial point. But you know what? It was a blessing in disguise. I know it sounds crazy, but when you're in that much pain, you wake up one day and you just go, enough is enough. You draw the line and you move forward. And I did whatever. I did lots of things. I didn't just go dunk dunk. I did lots of things. I went up down up down. I did network marketing for 2 years. Just didn't work for me personally. I know people that are making a lot of money on it. I think my expectations were, people said to me, you do it in a year, and I think that's. Are we allowed to swear on this channel?
Yeah.
BS.
Yeah, BS.
Because I think it's 3 to 5 years, and I was told 1 year. So that was my expectation.
Yeah.
So after 1.5 years, I stopped. Had they said 3 to 5 years, I would have carried on. I would have done extremely well. So it's all about expectations as much as anything else. There's a lot of people out there that talk a lot of BS,
Yeah.
and you don't. And that's why I'm also here, and I agree to be on these kind of things. And then we did actually what the turning point was really, apart from going to seminars. Like Tony Robbins.
I know you went on a lot of courses.
Yeah, but the Tony Robbins one was the one where I quit my job.
Yeah.
The next day, I literally quit my job because he just pumped me up, probably saying things I'd heard before, but saying it in a way that maybe I needed to hear right now, and I made a decision, And then yes, I went on a lot of courses. I did a lot of different things, did business startups in different countries.
What was the vehicle that achieved financial freedom for you?
Stocks and shares.
Stocks and shares.
Yeah.
Because when we first met, you were killing it in stocks and shares.
Yeah.
And you're still doing that. So what are your predictions then, going back to Bitcoin, in say 5 years' time? I know you can't say for sure, but what are your predictions on how cryptos might have changed the way that we do money?
Oh my goodness. It's just because, maybe some people don't even know what Bitcoin is or the blockchain is. So blockchain is just a system for you and I to transact, but there's nobody in the middle. Because at the moment we need somebody to say that I sent you the money, because otherwise I'm going to say, did you receive the money? And you're going to go, no. And I'm going to go, oh no, and nobody can, you're going to say, send it to me again. And I'm going to go, but I did send it. So there has to be somebody, and normally it's centralized, there's a bank or a central bank in the way. So we're going to get that out of the way, and now we have a decentralized system with thousands of computers around the world on this massive Excel spreadsheet called a ledger, doesn't matter, whatever, an Excel spreadsheet, saying that I did send it to you, and it can be proven, but it also can't be hacked. And here's the word, immutable. It can't be hacked, which means that we don't need all the banks. And Satoshi Nakamoto came up with this in 2007, right? Because of the financial crisis. He said enough. Because the banks have been, they've been very naughty to us. So
Yeah.
something very naughty there, and it's just enough, and people have had enough.
Yeah.
And so now they call it a kind of, you don't need to have that trusted person in the way because the system is trusted, and that's what the blockchain is all about.
Yeah.
And so what it allows, I'm going to give you one example, but it could be, actually I've got so many examples. Which one should I go? So there's a company called VeChain. I'm heavily invested in that, and I'm encouraging my people to do that as well. is they actually trust, they can actually track via the blockchain whether this baby powder came from the factory, where it is on the lorry, to the depot, to the shops, to the end user customer. And the end user customer can actually scan it and say, this is real baby powder. Because in China, I don't know whether you heard about this, 600 babies who bought baby powder and it wasn't baby powder, 600 babies were put into hospital. I know you have a baby, right? And also 6 babies died. Not one, that just shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So they can trust, you see the trust. And they can scan all this, and it's all on the blockchain. It's written on there, and nobody can change it. You can't change this once it's written on the blockchain. And that's what people want. They don't want this centralized thing where people are manipulated. They're inflating, deflating, changing, going into your bank account in Cyprus and taking 20% just because you have 100,000. They don't want stuff like that.
And I think right now there's probably going to be 2 types of people listening. One is going to be saying, what on earth are you talking about? What is this? In which case, get educated.
Yes.
The second type of person is going to be saying, I've heard this before. I know this, which is great. Let me ask you a question. I know I went on your webinar and I had my mind blown and loved it, and it's helped me a lot. I'm going to be putting a link on this YouTube video below to your webinar, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
I'd encourage people check it out and at least go on the webinar and have an understanding about investments and money and cryptos and where things are going and where the economy's going from that standpoint. But I'd like to ask you a question. Why should, and it doesn't really make much difference to you, it's a free webinar, right?
Yeah.
I didn't pay, so I assume it's free.
I just didn't charge you.
Oh, right. No. Why should people attend your free webinar?
Oh, listen, I feel very strongly about this. I feel that the information that I will be giving on that webinar is going to be life-changing in the sense that there is this massive transfer of wealth, massive transfer away from the big boys to us, into our pockets.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about thousands here, I'm talking about a lot more than that. I'm talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions for the right person. And you don't need a lot of money. You need maybe, I said to people investing maybe, start with $500, something like that, really small amounts. This asymmetrical risk is so incredibly important. The blockchain is going to change the way we do any kind of business, including in property as well. Because it's just, you've got to do your research. It's not a lot. It may be 90 minutes with question and answer. It might be 2 hours. People do ask a lot of questions, and I'm there until right at the end. I do not go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know people pay you thousands of pounds to sit with you and pick your brain, so I think it's a no-brainer. So I'm going to put a link underneath this video, so check it out, get onto his free webinar. Final words of advice, maybe around mindset or something, because I know you're a big believer in mindset, Tony Robbins fan.
Yes, yeah.
What would you say, final piece of advice to investors, just to give them a bit of encouragement and inspiration in their journey? What would you say?
Well, I would say that you can definitely do it. I know, because I was on my brother's floor, and if I can do it, you can do it as well. I have seen so many of my students who just had a little bit of trust and a little bit of faith in themselves. I get them to believe in themselves. I don't want them to believe in me, I want them to believe in themselves. Okay, if they have to believe in me first, great, but believe in yourself. I will help you just the way you do, helping people all along the way. It makes our life richer as a result. Because people always ask, why do you do this, why do you do this? Because when you've got a certain amount of money, it's been proven that much more money doesn't make you any more happier.
Yeah.
But what it does is helping other people. And that's something I learned from Tony. The give is one of the 6 kind of like factors, and he always said to me, help other people, and I'm like, I need to help myself first. It took me a while to understand that.
Yeah, and that's why I like you so much, because you're got a great brain, you're very successful, but also you've got a big heart and really like to give back.
Thank you.
So thanks so much for coming on the show. It's been really great.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So get down, link below, subscribe to his webinar. And also, if you've not already subscribed to this channel, do that too. And I look forward to seeing you next time. God bless. Thank you so much for watching. If you benefited from that video, please do share it with your family and friends. For more videos like it, you can watch right here. And if you'd like to spend 2 days with me at the Property Investors Crash Course, watch this video, see what happens. But whatever you do, don't forget to subscribe right here, and I'll see you next time.